So, we open with Robyn Brown herself, talking about what's now being called this backdoor deal. This is Robyn telling her side of the story, specifically how it connects to the alleged Enda. And here's the thing. I've heard for years that Robyn pulls moves like this behind the scenes. But now, this clip feels like actual proof, not just speculation. Here's what's unfolding. A new clip from the tell all has surfaced. In it, Robyn tells Suki that she was being pressured and even threatened by Kody to sell the property or sign off on it. According to Robyn, things got so intense during that period that she felt she had to protect herself. Her response? She says she was ready to take it legal if she had to. We'll circle back to that in a moment, because that's important. Now, Janelle tells a very different story. From Janelle's perspective, Robyn was the one who blocked everything. She didn't just slow things down. She put a rock right in the middle of the road and stopped progress altogether. And sometimes, honestly, I can't help but wonder, what would happen if all these women removed Kody from the equation entirely? Like, imagine they all went off to an island together for 3 months, no Kody, no interference, just talking, trading notes, comparing stories, finding out whether what Kody told each of them about the others was actually true. You know what I mean? Now, let me be clear. This is not about letting Robyn off the hook. Not at all. But when you really step back and look at the pattern, there is one constant in every single conflict. One common denominator. And that common denominator is Kody. Always has been. Even with Robyn, as much as I dislike her, Kody is still right there in the middle of it. That said, let's not pretend Robyn is some passive bystander. She is absolutely manipulative. She is also very assertive. And here's something I think really matters. Robyn came from a standard monogamous marriage. She lived outside the cult structure for years. When she entered this family, she brought with her a broader worldview and more practical, real-world knowledge than the other women had. Frankly, I think the others were more naive. Robyn knew her legal rights in a way they didn't. And that's part of why I believe she wanted to be the legal wife. It wasn't accidental. It wasn't just circumstance. She wanted that position. Now here we are again, revisiting this so-called backdoor deal for what feels like the third time. And once again, it comes across as deflection. So, Suki talks to Janelle, and Janelle lays it out plainly. There was no backdoor deal. None. What they were actually doing was trying to figure out how to get things done despite Robyn throwing up obstacles. Robyn was the roadblock. Things would have gone through cleanly and smoothly if not for this sudden, bizarre agreement that popped up at the last minute, literally days before the contract was set to expire. And if this sounds familiar, it should. Last year, I made a video about this exact issue. I talked about how Robyn dragged her feet on signing the deed transfers. At that time, Meri, Janelle, and Kody had all agreed on a split. Meri would get 25%, Janelle would get 25%, and Kody and Robyn would share the remaining 50% as a married couple, community property, rights of survivorship, the whole thing. That setup essentially gave Kody and Robyn majority control over the parcels they shared. It allowed them to force sales if they wanted. Everyone else signed off on that arrangement in January. Everyone. Except Robyn. She waited. And waited. And waited. For nearly 2 months, nothing. No signature. No movement. And that delay? That's where everything really started to unravel. All right, let's keep walking through this because this is where things get even murkier. So eventually, Robyn does sign. She finally agrees and signs off toward the end of March. Once that happens, the sale goes through in April. And this is where I get stuck. Because, from Robyn's perspective, how exactly was she helping Meri by refusing to sign earlier? That part just doesn't add up. The only explanation that even remotely makes sense to me has to do with money, specifically the down payment on Robyn's house. That's the only thing I can think of. Robyn didn't control where that money came from. Kody was the one listed on the deed with Meri. So if money from Meri somehow ended up being converted into Robyn's property, that wouldn't have been Robyn doing it directly. That would have been Kody. And if that's the case, we're talking about something serious. Because converting funds like that without proper authority, that crosses into fraud territory. Robyn wouldn't have had access to that money on her own. Kody would have had to be the one to make that move. So during this whole process, we really don't know what Kody was saying to Robyn behind closed doors. But knowing how Robyn operates, and we've seen this pattern before, she often threatens divorce when she feels cornered. That's her leverage. Now here's where it gets interesting. Imagine Robyn coming to them with a completed document, an ENDA, and not an ENDA protecting Kody, but one asking Meri to hold Robyn harmless. Not don't sue Kody, but don't come after me. So the big question becomes, who was actually on this ENDA? Was it Kody and Robyn together? Or was it just Robyn? That part isn't clear. But if Robyn presented an ENDA that only protected her, you have to ask why. Was she preparing to let Kody take the fall? Think about it. Hold me harmless, Meri, for what Kody did. Hold me harmless for what happened with the other house. Don't bring claims against me. Bring them against him. That's what it sounds like. Meri refused to sign. And because she refused, the ENDA never went into effect. Later on, Robyn finally signs off on the deal anyway. But by then, the damage is done. There are just so many unanswered questions in this timeline that don't quite connect. Now, to be fair to Janelle, she still views these relationships through the lens of plural marriage. She's thinking in terms of shared responsibility and group dynamics. But here's the reality. Kody and Robyn have been functionally monogamous for years. Their marriage operates as the two of them. Period. That means their decisions are made in their best interest. And if Kody is pressuring Robyn, she always has the nuclear option, divorce, as leverage. Whether she actually uses it or just threatens it is another question. But the power is there. So now we move forward. The buyer comes back. Meri is working through things with the lawyers, trying to sort out what's actually happening. And behind the scenes, it's chaos and silence. Long stretches of no communication. Janelle describes it like this. Every so often, she'd call Kody or text Meri saying, "Guys, the clock is ticking. This contract expires in 60 days. And the responses were vague, "Yeah, we're working on it." Or worse, no response at all. Total stonewalling. It became one long waiting game. Now, if I'm understanding this correctly, during that first contract period, from January to March, Kody and Janelle actually talked about forcing the sale. Kody even said he would sell the property out from under Robyn and Meri. And if he had done that, it wouldn't have been based on the updated deeds. It would have been based on the original deeds. And that would have opened up a whole new legal nightmare. If Kody had gone through with forcing the sale the way he threatened, it wouldn't have been based on the new deeds they all agreed to in January. It would have been based on the original deeds from 2018. And under those original documents, Meri would have walked away with almost nothing. Just a tiny fraction of one parcel. That alone explains why this situation was so dangerous for her. Now, what was actually happening between Kody and Robyn during this time? Honestly, I don't know. I don't understand why Robyn would be upset about forcing a sale, or why she'd resist signing an agreement that gave everyone, including her, 25%. That was a structure. 25% across the board. unless she wanted her own separate 25%, independent from Kody. But when you're married, that's generally not how it works. So again, the question comes back, why didn't she sign in January when everyone else did? What conversations were happening behind closed doors between Kody and Robyn? Was Robyn hesitant to sign something that officially labeled it marital property? Were they going through something in their marriage at the time? Something serious enough that she was considering leaving? And I have to wonder, truly, if that's part of why we kept seeing Kody spending all that time in the garage this season. Robyn would go out there to film, and there he was, living in the garage, and she'd come visit him out there. You know what I mean? Was that because they were fighting constantly? Was the garage his escape? Because the dynamic between Kody and Robyn is deeply unhealthy. It has been unhealthy and painfully obvious this entire season. Robyn has made countless under-the-breath comments. She's openly said she feels emotionally unsafe with him. She's described his rage and anger as frightening. She's made repeated statements that strongly suggest she's unhappy and has seriously considered leaving. So, when we see Kody constantly asking her, "Are you happy? Are you okay with this?" and trying to prove how monogamous and committed he is, it doesn't feel reassuring. It feels desperate. Like he's trying to convince her, and maybe himself, that everything is fine. And I think, on camera, Robyn plays the role, just like everyone else does. Off camera? That's a different story. Again, I'm not defending Robyn. Not at all. Kody is the catalyst. He's the common denominator of chaos. Robyn absolutely creates and enables more of that chaos. But in this specific situation, she's the only one refusing to agree to something everyone else agreed to. And I still don't know why. So let's hear Robyn's version. According to Robyn, Janelle was getting impatient. Then suddenly, Robyn hears from Kody that he and Janelle are discussing a backdoor deal, selling the property out from under Meri. Robyn says Meri was in a very vulnerable position at that point, and her reaction was immediate. Absolutely not. Her words essentially were, "Hell no, you're not doing this to Meri." She claims she told Kody, "Why are you even talking to Janelle about this? This is wrong. This is morally wrong." Now, here's the thing. When Kody first brought this up publicly on the show, he said he talked to Janelle about selling the property out from under Robyn and Meri. Robyn and Meri. And that's where the stories start to collide. Robyn goes on to say that Kody told her the deal was to sell the property out from under Meri. But here's the problem. The only person who hadn't signed anything at that point was Robyn. So, how exactly were they moving forward without her? That's where things stop making sense. This is why I genuinely feel like Kody and Robyn are hiding something. And I want to be clear, this is just my gut feeling, but my instinct says they were seriously talking about divorce. Think about it. If you and your spouse aren't on the same page about property, money, or decisions that hurt other people, if your behavior has become angry, explosive, and reckless, and now you're together all the time and it's clearly not going well, and you've just bought her this massive house. That house? I don't think it was just about love. I think part of it was to keep Robyn happy, and part of it was to tie her down financially. Then they turn around and take out another equity line of credit. That's not random. That's another legal and financial tether. Kody has decades of experience maneuvering women in this system. And even though he and Robyn are now technically monogamous, he's still operating with the same old playbook. He knows how to manipulate for control, money, loyalty, compliance, affection, whatever it is he wants. And no, I'm not taking Robyn's side. But I understand how polygamous men like Kody operate. With Robyn, he's figured out that if he controls the money, spoils her, takes care of her kids, and keeps the gifts flowing, she'll stay. He's even admitted this himself. He said outright that he lavishes her with things. He's basically acknowledged that material security is how he keeps her compliant. So, if Robyn suddenly didn't want to sign anything that legally bound her to him as a married couple, that's huge. That delay starts to look a lot less random. What's still strange, though, is Robyn now acting like this backdoor deal was happening without her, as if she wasn't involved at all. But the only reason a backdoor deal would even be on the table is because she wasn't signing. She was the holdup. Which again brings me back to the same conclusion. Something was seriously wrong between Kody and Robyn at this time. Talks of divorce would explain everything. The apology tour, the constant check-ins, the over-the-top reassurance, the "are you happy?" conversations. And I'll say this. I have never heard Robyn speak about Kody the way she does here in a tell-all. Never. Listen to what she says. She claims Kody kept pressuring her, pushing her, even threatening her a little. And she finally snapped and told him, "Fine. If you want to go down this road, I'll go legal on you too. I have a percentage in this property, and I will plant myself right in the middle of this road. I will make sure this property does not sell until this is handled fairly." That's not a submissive partner. That's someone who feels cornered and ready to fight back. What still doesn't fully add up is this. Robyn was the last one to sign off on the split. And for that agreement to happen, she had to give up a certain percentage that her name was on. She had to relinquish something. And that tells me this wasn't just about helping Meri. There's more going on here. So here's the legal reality. Kody and Robyn were listed together on every single parcel as a married couple under community property. Arizona is a community property state. And generally speaking, when a husband and wife are still together, they don't sue each other over property because legally they're considered one unit. Which means what Robyn is actually saying here is pretty explosive. She's admitting that she threatened divorce because Kody was pressuring her to sign off on the Coyote Pass distribution. And here's the part that still doesn't make sense on its face. Meri had already agreed to the split. Meri agreed to everything. The title company already had all the paperwork. The only missing signature was Robyn's. So why the delay? The only explanations I can land on are these. Either Robyn didn't want to own the property as marital property with Kody, or she thought she deserved more. Or, and this is the excuse she uses, she claims she was standing up for Meri because Meri was in a precarious situation. Let's be very clear about something. Robyn was not standing up for Meri. She was standing up for Robyn. Meri was being used as a shield. A convenient cover story. When Robyn threatens to divorce Kody and says she'll go legal, that's where the enda suddenly makes sense. That would explain why Robyn wanted Meri to hold her harmless, not Kody, but Robyn, for what happened with Meri's money. In other words, Robyn wants Kody to take the fall. She wants the fraud, the misuse of funds, the conversion of assets, all of it to land squarely on Kody. And she wants to walk away clean. And let's not rewrite history here. Robyn absolutely played a role in helping Kody con and manipulate Meri and in benefiting from Meri's money. But now that the pressure is on, now that Robyn isn't getting exactly what she wants and Kody is threatening her, she wants immunity. That's why this season felt so off. This explains the bizarre apology tour. It explains why Kody was constantly checking in with Robyn, trying to convince everyone, and maybe himself, that their marriage was perfect. It explains why Robyn always looked irritated and emotionally exhausted. And yet, in the middle of all this, she still buys a house with him. She still signs a brand new HELOC for $750,000. So let's call this what it is. If every time Robyn doesn't get her way, she threatens divorce, That tells me she's preparing an exit. Kody knows it. And when she goes, she's not going quietly. Kody has massively underestimated this woman. Compared to Meri, Janelle, and Christine, Robyn has more real-world experience. She's been divorced before. She understands the legal system. She understands leverage. And I don't mean that the other women aren't smart. They are. But Robyn has a different kind of knowledge. And Kody put all his eggs in the basket of a woman who knows exactly how to burn the basket down. Robyn is showing us in real time that she's willing to take him down if she has to. I don't know how I feel about that. If she walks away with everything, it feels deeply unfair to the other women. But it finally explains why this season has been so strange, so tense, so emotionally messy. Kody and Robyn are on the brink. She threatened divorce. Everything we're seeing, the garage isolation, the forced smiles, the apology tour, the crying followed by anger, it all lines up. These wounds are still raw. Kody is still trying to bully and control. And Robyn? She's smarter than he ever gave her credit for. I think Kody is terrified that Robyn will take him to the cleaners. Robyn openly admitted she threatened to divorce him. And in my opinion, she was actively trying to pin all the fraud on Kody. The only reason they're still together right now is because of that shared liability. But give it time. It's only a matter of time before they turn on each other. All right, those are my thoughts. Drop yours in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, besties.